When are the brands going to take that step? But I do think it's at the minute, the CEOs and the top guys at the brand are old geezers. If you're not going to work on it, like you said earlier with the Bugatti.
What if the biggest move in hypercar history happened without a single word being said? After months of conflict, Matt Armstrong proved Bugatti wrong by splitting a $6 million Chiron in half in a regular workshop. And just days later, mate Rimac quietly opened the doors of the Rimac Campus to the public for the first time ever. No names mentioned, no direct response. But the internet instantly connected the dots. Was this a peace offering or a message to the entire industry? Because if it was, the hypercar world may never look the same again. Let's get into it. The war before the silence. To understand why this announcement landed the way it did, you have to remember exactly how brutal this war had been just weeks earlier. This was not a polite disagreement. This was not corporate posturing. This was one of the most aggressive public conflicts between a hypercar manufacturer and an independent builder that the automotive world had seen in years. And Bugatti was not pretending to be neutral about any of it. It started with the VYN lock. The moment that crashed Chiron Pure Sport landed in Matt Armstrong's workshop.
And today, we've got to connect both of them together. After Alex crashed his Bugatti, he's nominated me to repair it.
Bugatti flipped a digital switch that made it impossible for any authorized dealership on the planet to sell him parts. Not because the parts did not exist, not because the damage was unfixable, because Bugatti decided he simply was not going to be allowed to do what he was doing. The official position from the company was clear. The car needed to come to their Molsheim factory in France. Anything less, they said, was a safety risk. Anything outside their walls was unacceptable. Then Mate Rimac himself stepped into the spotlight. He recorded a video, posted it directly to Instagram, and personally addressed the rebuild. He explained the safety concerns. He corrected internet rumors about parts pricing, pointing out that each Chiron headlight actually costs about $25,000 and not the wild $150,000 figure circulating online. He made his factory offer publicly, and he made it very clear that Bugatti was not going to compromise its standards just because a YouTuber wanted to try his hand at a $6 million rebuild. The internet immediately took sides. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Other content creators jumped in. A YouTuber called FX Alex G dismantled the safety argument with
detail. So right now I have my Bugatti, I have the Porsche, McLaren, Rolls-Royce. I have like 10 cars.
One viral question. If this is really about safety, why is Bugatti also refusing to sell headlights which have nothing to do with structural safety? Mate Rimac did not have a clean public answer for it, and the war kept escalating. Then came the moment that should have made the conflict explode even further. Armstrong's team, working in a regular workshop with regular tools, did exactly what Mate Rimac said could only be done at a certified facility. They split the Chiron in half. They identified the 14 titanium bolts holding the rear section to the front. They disconnected every wire, every line, every fluid system. They peeled back the carbon fiber. And they did it cleanly. The moment that first bolt came free and hit the workbench, every prediction Bugatti had publicly made started to look weaker. The car had been designed in a modular way. The repair was possible. Armstrong had been right. This was the point where most people expected Bugatti to come back swinging. A statement, a response, another public correction, something, anything. Because in modern corporate communications, when you take a hit like that publicly, you fight back fast. But Bugatti did not fight back. Bugatti went quiet. And that silence, as it turned out, was hiding something nobody saw coming. The factory doors suddenly opened a few days after Armstrong split, while the automotive internet was still digesting the implications of what had happened in that workshop. Mate Rimac made a move that almost nobody initially noticed. He did not call a press conference. He did not address Armstrong directly. He did not reignite the rebuild debate. Instead, the Rimac Campus quietly announced that it was opening its doors to the public for the first time ever. If you do not know what the Rimac Campus is, here is what you need to understand. It is the new headquarters and production facility of the Rimac Group, located just outside Zagreb in Croatia. This is the company Mate Rimac built from his own garage roughly 15 years ago, the company that quietly grew so impressive that it took control of Bugatti in a joint venture that shocked the entire auto industry. The campus is sleek, modern, secretive, and almost entirely closed to the outside world. Until that announcement, the only people who ever set foot inside were employees, suppliers, and the rare invited guest. What changed everything was the level of access being offered. This was not going to be a museum exhibit. This was not a controlled marketing experience with display models behind velvet ropes. This was access to the actual working production line. The same line where the Rimac Nevra R is being assembled. The same line where the Bugatti Tourbillon prototype is being built right beside it. Live production, real cars in real stages of assembly. The closest the public has ever come to seeing how a hypercar is genuinely born. And here is the part that made everyone stop scrolling. The two cars being built on that production floor are arguably the most important hypercars of the entire decade. The Nevra R is a 2,100 horsepower fully electric monster powered by 4 separate electric motors, capable of acceleration that breaks every reasonable expectation of what a road car should be able to do. The Tourbillon is its complete opposite, a Bugatti masterpiece powered by an 8.3-liter naturally aspirated V16 engine. Mechanical, raw. Built around the same philosophy that made Bugatti legendary in the first place. Two completely different visions of the future of speed being built side by side in the same building by the same company. Now open to the public. Think about that for a second. For decades, hypercar manufacturers have built their entire mystique around secrecy. You do not see inside the factory. You do not watch how the magic happens. You buy the finished car, you admire it, and you walk away. That was the rule. That was the whole appeal. And here was Mate Rimac, quietly tearing that rule up and saying, anyone with a ticket can come look. The announcement was so understated that some people thought it had to be a mistake. But it was not a mistake. It was a signal. And the moment people started connecting the dots between this announcement and what had just happened in Matt Armstrong's workshop, the internet completely lost its mind. The timing no one can ignore. Now here is where the story shifts from interesting to unforgettable, because the timing of this announcement was not subtle, and it was not accidental. It happened days. After Matt Armstrong's team had publicly split that Chiron Persport using 14 titanium bolts in a regular workshop. The same workshop Bugatti had spent months trying to discredit. The same project Mate Rimac had personally addressed on social media.
Of Rimac Automobili that will see electric supercar maker raising $157 to $181 million. Its owner, Mate Rimac, has been quoted as saying this.
The same conflict the entire automotive world had been following like it was a championship fight. You do not announce a once-in-a-lifetime public tour of one of the most secretive hypercar factories on Earth at a random moment. You do not open doors that have been locked for decades just because. You do not let civilians walk through the same room where Bugatti tourbillons are being assembled, unless you have a reason. Corporate communication at this level is calculated. Every move is timed. Every decision is run through layers of strategy. And the moment that announcement hit, the automotive world recognized it for what it was. Within hours, the comment sections of every major automotive YouTube channel covering the story were flooded with the same name being tagged repeatedly. Matt Armstrong. Over and over, fans, journalists, mechanics, and casual viewers were all asking the same question. Is this for Matt Armstrong? Did Mate Rimac just open the doors of his factory specifically because of him? Is this the olive branch nobody expected? And the people asking those questions were not just regular internet fans. Supercar Blondie, one of the largest automotive publications in the world, wrote about it directly. They acknowledged the timing. They pointed out that fans were tagging Armstrong. They openly framed the announcement as a potential response to the rebuild controversy. The interpretation became almost universal. Without saying a single word about Matt Armstrong, Without mentioning the rebuild, without addressing the months of conflict, Mate Rimac had quietly delivered a message. I see what you did. I respect it. And here are the doors of the factory you were never supposed to enter. It was the corporate equivalent of a nod across a crowded room, subtle enough to maintain dignity, loud enough that everyone understood exactly what it meant. And here is the part that really stuck with the automotive community. Mate Rimac himself, before he became the CEO of one of the most exclusive hypercar manufacturers on Earth, used to be exactly the kind of person Matt Armstrong is now. A garage builder, an outsider, someone who looked at the rules of the auto industry and decided he was going to ignore them. He built electric supercars when everyone said it was impossible. He turned a hobby into a Bugatti acquisition.
I said earlier that creating an electric hypercar was my dream. But to be here, sharing the stage with our friends from Porsche and Bugatti.
His entire personal myth is built on the idea that the auto industry needs people willing to break the rules. Watching him publicly defend the corporate position against Armstrong had created an awkward tension that nobody could quite articulate. The factory tour announcement felt like the moment that tension resolved itself, quietly and without confession. And what the campus actually shows visitors only deepened the message. Inside the Rimac Campus, once people started looking past the timing and started looking at what was actually being offered, the depth of the announcement became even clearer. Because the Rimac Campus is not just a building, it is a statement, a massive facility built from scratch, designed to house everything from research and development to final assembly under one roof. It is one of the most modern and most ambitious automotive headquarters built anywhere in the world over the last decade. And until that announcement, almost nobody outside the company had ever seen it from the inside. What visitors can now see on the tour is the actual working environment where the future of speed is being made. The Nevra R section reveals the engineering behind a fully electric hypercar built around 4 independent electric motors, each with its own dedicated control system, working together to produce 2,100 horsepower of instant torque. You can see the carbon fiber assembly, you can see the battery integration, you can see the level of precision that goes into building something that costs millions and weighs almost nothing for its performance. On the other side of the same floor, the Bugatti Tourbillon prototype is being built completely differently. This is the new flagship Bugatti, the spiritual successor to the Chiron, and it represents Bugatti at its most ambitious. The heart of this car is an 8.3-liter naturally aspirated V16 engine. No turbos, no hybrid assistance, just pure, mechanical, screaming combustion. Engineering at a scale almost no manufacturer would even attempt anymore. Watching that engine come together, seeing the craftsmanship up close, is a once-in-a-generation kind of access. Now here is what makes the timing of this so brilliant from a strategic standpoint. Transparency was the exact thing Matt Armstrong had been quietly asking for the entire time. Every workaround he had figured out in his workshop, the Audi A3 airbags, the custom radiators, the modular panel discovery, all of it had been driven by one core frustration. Bugatti would not show him how their cars actually worked. They locked the VIN. They refused parts. They kept the engineering hidden behind factory walls. By opening the campus to the public, Mate Rimac was quietly responding to that exact criticism. Not directly, not loudly, but unmistakably. You want to see how we build these things? Come see how we build these things. It was a response that did not require any admission. Bugatti did not have to apologize. Mate Rimac did not have to back down on the safety arguments. Nobody had to publicly admit that Armstrong had won anything. The factory simply opened. The doors simply unlocked. And the gesture spoke for itself in a way that words never could have. This is what real leadership maturity looks like at the top of an industry. You do not always need to win the argument. Sometimes the smartest move is to quietly change the conditions of the conversation. And by changing those conditions, Rimac may have just rewritten the rulebook for how manufacturers and creators interact going forward. The factory invitation. Now the biggest question hanging over this entire story is the obvious one. Will Matt Armstrong actually go? Will he book the ticket? Will he show up at the Rimac campus with his cameras rolling and walk through the same factory floor that the entire internet just connected to his? Rebuild? At the time of recording this, that has not happened yet. Armstrong has not publicly confirmed a visit. There has been no announcement, no video, no behind-the-scenes content from inside the factory. But the speculation is intense. And if it does happen, it will be one of the most watched automotive videos of the entire year. Think about what that visit would actually mean. The same man Bugatti tried to stop with a VIN lock walking through the building where Bugatti hypercars are assembled. The same builder who proved Mate Rimac wrong in a regular workshop standing across from the Tourbillon prototype on its assembly stand. The full visual closure of one of the most dramatic stories in modern hypercar history. The kind of content that does not just go viral, it defines the year. But even if Armstrong never accepts, the message has already been delivered, and the implications go far beyond this one rivalry. Because what happened here is bigger than two famous people in the auto industry making peace. It is a template, a roadmap. Other hypercar manufacturers are watching this. Other content creators are watching this. And the pattern is suddenly very clear. Open conflict, mutual respect earned through hard work, quiet resolution that benefits both sides. In the Cars and Money podcast, Matt Armstrong himself summarized his relationship with Mate Rimac.
Matt's going to be like, why don't you take the Bugatti for a drive?
yeah. Anything can happen. You never
By the
know.
way, they are easy. They would be easy to crash, you know.
Better than any commentator could. He described it as a Messi versus Ronaldo rivalry. Not enemies, not allies. Just two extremely talented people in the same world, sometimes pushed into opposition by the corporate machinery around them, but mutually respectful when the cameras are off. That description aged remarkably well. Because what we are seeing now is not the end of a war. It is the start of a more mature relationship between manufacturers and the new generation of automotive media. My honest prediction is this. Within the next 24 months, you are going to see more hypercar manufacturers quietly opening their factories to content creators. You're going to see more partnerships, more transparency, and more access than ever before. The lesson of this saga is clear. Trying to silence independent builders does not work. Trying to lock them out only makes the eventual workaround more famous. The smartest play is to invite them in, control the narrative through openness rather than secrecy, and let respect replace resentment. Rimac figured that out faster than most. And the wall that hypercar manufacturers spent decades building around themselves may have just quietly cracked open, one factory tour at a time. What looked like a closed war between a manufacturer and a builder has ended in something far harder to define. A silent opening, a door that no one expected to see unlocked. But the real question isn't whether the invitation was genuine or whether it was strategy dressed as goodwill. It's what happens the moment someone walks through it, and the industry realizes the rules are no longer being written in the same way. Because once respect replaces resistance at this level, the next move won't be predictable. The only question left is this. If the walls are coming down, who decides what gets built in their place?